I wish I had a church in here. And I wish I had time, but I don't. So for the sake of time, you got to understand that purpose has to be manifested because the Lord is soon to come. I know you've been hearing this since 74, that Jesus is on his way back. But Jesus is soon to come, and because he's soon to come, there is a mandate on his people to find yourself in the middle of purpose. Watch this, not licking your wounds about 2014. Oh, Lord, I can't. I know you want somebody to pep you up and to tell you that they understand what you're going through and how bad it was and what went on. But God said to tell you the dead need to go on and bury their dead. We're going into the mountain to worship him. You can't worship God worrying about spilled milk. God, it's time for us to grow up and to be who God has called us to be. For those of us who are spiritually mature, we get over stuff faster than immature folk. Can I come on down the pipe? You ain't finna tell me that you grown up in the Lord and you still messed up over something that happened to you in 83. Pump 3 people and say, baby, grow up, grow up, grow up. You don't want to hear this kind of teaching, I know you. Because if you're going to be spiritually minded, if you're going to be mature in the Lord, if you're going to get off of milk and on to meat, it's going to require you to say, you know what, it happened, it's over with, on to the glory, on to the... Some of y'all can't access the kingdom because you're still stuck on last week. That's why Paul had to tell them, you got to leave behind those things. And you got to learn how to press. He didn't say it was going to be easy. He didn't say walk. He said... I wish somebody would shout, purpose is in front of me. And I'm going to get it. Let me just say this real quick. Ain't got nothing to do with the teaching, but Jesus is talking to the brothers and he says, who do men say that I am? He says, who do men say that I am? And when he does, they begin to say, you're Elijah, you're Elias, you're all these other folk. And then Peter begins to declare, you are the Son of the living God. You are the Christ. And Jesus says, upon this rock, I will build my church. And then he says, I'm going to give you keys to the kingdom. Can I tell you something? Not only did he give you keys to the kingdom, he also gave you keys to lock the door to your past. So you just ought to, in your spiritual mind, turn around and lock the door.
Lock that door.
Purpose. It has to be fulfilled. It has to be manifested. It is important that you understand that because God is stirring up purpose in his people, that there are people around us who are really, really thirsty. I'm not talking about thirst what the world says. This ain't the Urban Dictionary, baby. I'm talking about folk who've been looking for something. Somebody who's been trying to find, who am I really? Why am I really here? Why is it that God has allowed me to stay here through all of this? Really, if I look at 2014 for what it really was, it was an opportunity for me to see that God is still good. That Jesus is still sitting on the throne. If it had not been so, baby, I would have died in October. If God wasn't real, I would have died in March. Really, what 2014 taught me was I was built for this. And somebody say he thought he had me, he thought he had me. Baby, when you built for this, Tony, you've been created, genetically constructed, when you have been architecturally designed by the master builder himself, when the master, the potter, has taken you to clay and created you the way that you were, you ought to be able to look hell in the face and say, bring all you got, bring it. Bring all you got. See, some of y'all scared, but you better learn how to know if you buck in the spirit. And let hell know, whatever you bring this time, you better know that I ain't backing down. I'm not slacking up on my prayer life. I'm not quitting church. I'm not quitting seeking your face. You should have gotten you in that mess last year. I'm done quitting. That's good. So, Damien, watch this. the Bible declares that we understand through the spiritual teaching of Paul and through the further prophetic and spiritual utterances of Watchman Nee, we understand that man is created into three parts: his soul, his spirit, and his flesh. We understand that man's soul is the house of his intellect. It is where you get in your feelings, your emotions. Interestingly enough, we find here in John chapter 7 where Jesus says that if you believe on me, that out of your belly will flow rivers of living water. The word belly here comes from a Greek word that means bowels, the innermost part, the inwards of a man. But here in this particular instance, it is not referring to your anatomy. It is not anything to do with your biology. Indeed, it has everything to do with that which is spiritual and soulish in a man. In other words, he says that out of your belly, out of your emotions, out of the deepness of you, out of the very soul of you will flow rivers of living water. God, I'm confused. Because why would you tell me to stay out of my feelings when out of my belly will flow rivers of living water? Y'all ain't hearing this. Then we fast forward to Ephesians chapter 3 verse 20 where he says, now unto him who is able to do exceeding abundantly far above anything that you can ask or think. Come. We shout off of that, but we never go past the comma because the comma helps you to understand where it comes from.
Right now.
Every thought you get got to come from somewhere.
All right.
Imagine does not take your ability. So imagination has nothing to do with ability. Imagination has everything to do with you daring to imagine. It has everything with you being willing to allow God to implant something in you that you don't mind saying that you saw.
Amen. All right.